Hi, it's Shieh-Chi. I want to talk about resignation today. And the reason why that's so present for me is because I've been starting projects and then stopping. And I start with great enthusiasm. I love everything I start, and that's the reason why I take them on because I'm committed to them, I'm passionate about them. I know that taking care of them and doing them will actually fulfill something in the world, and it'll be a form of my self expression, and then I get stuck. And so for the longest time, I tried to, look at ways to get past procrastination, time management, et cetera, et cetera. And this morning, while I was sitting and meditating, I realized that I actually have a whole bunch of inherited conversations from my mother, my grandmother, and probably their grandmothers. And what I realized was that, like one of the things that I always say to myself is, yes, but I'm a Chinese woman. And so blah, 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 blah. It's my reason for not doing stuff or fulfilling on them. And I realized exactly what that means. So when I was very young, one of the stories my mom told me about my grandmother, her mother, was that she had a beautiful rose garden. I actually don't remember that, but apparently my grandfather wanted a paved courtyard, and so her rose garden got paved over. And what was left was this giant pot that she had goldfish in. And so I never thought anything about that story. It was just kind of like my grandmother's story. But I've realized since then that it's, inherited into my psyche. And my mother always being short of cash because she never worked. And my father never had any cash because he turned over everything to my grandfather, who turned it over to my grandmother. So she was always on an allowance. So I've realized that resignation is something that I really have inherited from my previous generations. And so when I start a project, I start with great enthusiasm and then I stop because I guess I'm figuratively or whatever waiting for somebody to come pave over my rose garden. And so I don't take the next steps to fulfill on it, to take care of my project, to even ask for assistance if I need it. And I'm just stunned. I'm just stunned by how pervasive that inherited conversation is that I wasn't even aware of, that so impacts me, and that that really has an impact on like writing my book. I started with great enthusiasm. I know what I have to say makes a difference, and I just can't get to the next steps. So knowing that now, I can thank my generations and put that aside and recognize it for what it is, that it's an inherited conversation. It's not my conversation. It's something that I can choose to take and be, or I can redefine it. And so I've chosen to thank my ancestors, thank my mother and my grandmother and their mothers and grandmothers for all of the lessons that they have learned, because I'm clear I've gotten some really great lessons, but maybe not this one. So what are some of your inherited conversations, and where are you stuck? And maybe it's time to really look at them and put them aside. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.